My mother stole my entire paycheck for 6 years to support his sister's acting career. Now I own a $200 million production studio and she's auditioning to be my coffee runner. Hit that subscribe button real quick and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always amazed by how far these stories reach. I found out my mother was stealing from me on a Tuesday. Not suspecting, knowing. I was 24, standing in a bank manager's office in downtown Atlanta, staring at 6 years of statements I'd never seen before. My hands shook as I flipped through page after page of withdrawals. Every single paycheck from my job at Morrison's production house, gone. Transferred to an account I didn't recognize within hours of deposit. Ms. Jenkins, I'm afraid someone with power of attorney has been accessing these funds, the manager said, adjusting his glasses nervously. My stomach dropped. Power of attorney. The document Mama made me sign when I was 18, fresh out of high school. Just for emergencies, baby, she'd said, hugging me tight in our cramped kitchen on Westview Drive. In case something happens and I need to help you. I trusted her. God, I was so stupid. 6 years of 60-hour weeks, living in that same cramped apartment with her and my Aunt Beverly, eating ramen while they ordered takeout. 6 years of wondering why I could never save enough to move out, why my account always showed just enough for bus fare and nothing more. The manager's voice faded as rage built in my chest like a summer storm rolling over the city. How much? I whispered. Total? Approximately $287,000, ma'am. The room tilted. That was my money. My life. And Mama had taken every cent while smiling in my face, asking how work went, telling me she was proud of me. I grabbed my phone with trembling fingers. Time for answers. I burst through our apartment door at 6 p.m., bank statements clutched in my fist. Mama was in the kitchen cooking greens, humming along to gospel music like she didn't have a care in the world. Aunt Beverly sat at the table painting her nails bright red, probably getting ready for another audition that never led anywhere. Mama, we need to talk. Now. My voice came out harder than I'd ever spoken to her. She turned, spatula in hand, eyebrows raised. Bernice? What's wrong with you, baby? You look. Don't baby me. I slammed the papers on the counter. Want to explain these? Want to explain where $287,000 of my money went? The color drained from her face. Aunt Beverly's nail polish brush froze midair. The apartment went silent except for Kirk Franklin still singing about blessings from the speaker. Mama's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Bernice, I can explain. Explain? You stole from me. For 6 years. My voice cracked, tears burning my eyes. I trusted you. I lived on scraps while you funded what? Aunt Beverly's ridiculous acting career? Her headshots and acting classes and God knows what else. Aunt Beverly stood up, indignant. My career is not ridiculous. I'm this close to my big break. You're 43 years old. I screamed. You've been this close since I was in middle school. And you, I turned back to Mama. You let me think I was bad with money. Let me feel like a failure because I couldn't save anything. Do you know what that did to me? Mama's eyes filled with tears. Your sister needed. Aunt Beverly is not my sister. And she needed nothing but a reality check. Mama sank into a chair, suddenly looking every one of her 56 years. You don't understand, Bernice. Your daddy left me nothing when he walked out. Beverly is my baby sister. After Mama died, I promised I'd take care of her dreams. She's talented, she just needs the right opportunity. At my expense? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You sacrificed my future for her fantasy? Aunt Beverly's face twisted with anger. Fantasy? I've had callbacks. I almost got that commercial for Kroger last year. Almost doesn't pay bills, Beverly. I shot back. How much of my money went to your career? Wait, I flipped through the statements, my hands still shaking. These payments to Starlight Acting Academy, $3,000 a month? This Beverly Jenkins Professional Fund, another $2,000? Mama, what the hell? Language, Bernice. Don't you dare. My voice echoed off the walls. You don't get to play mother now. A mother doesn't rob her own child blind. Mama stood, tears streaming. I always meant to pay you back. Once Beverly made it big, once she started booking real roles, we would have given you everything plus interest. We were investing in our family's future. The audacity made me laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. Investing? You were gambling with money that wasn't yours. And you lost. I grabbed my purse. I'm filing a police report. And I'm suing you both for every penny. Aunt Beverly gasped. You can't. Family doesn't do that. Watch me. I headed for the door, then stopped. Oh, and Mama? That power of attorney you made me sign? My lawyer's revoking it tomorrow. You'll never touch my money again. I crashed at my coworker Renee's place that night, crying so hard I thought I'd break. She held me while I sobbed, bringing me chamomile tea and tissues, listening to the whole sordid story. Her spare bedroom became my sanctuary, a place to figure out my next move. Girl, I can't believe Ms. Jenkins did that, Renee said, her dark eyes full of sympathy. She always seemed so sweet at the company picnics. That's the thing, I said, voice hoarse. She's sweet. That's what makes it worse. She genuinely thought she was doing right, like Beverly's acting career was somehow more important than my actual life. The next morning I met with Patricia Coleman, a lawyer Renee recommended. Patricia was in her 50s, sharp as a knife in her navy suit, with locks pulled back in an elegant bun. She reviewed my documents with clinical precision. You have an airtight case, she said. The power of attorney doesn't permit theft. Your mother committed fraud, embezzlement. Depending on how the DA sees it, she could face serious charges. My stomach churned. I don't want her in prison. I just want my money back. Patricia leaned forward. Bernice, I need you to understand something. Your mother stole nearly $300,000. That's not a mistake. That's a sustained, deliberate pattern of theft. The law takes this seriously. So do I said quietly. But she's still my mother. Patricia's expression softened. Then we pursue civil action first. Sue for repayment plus interest and damages. If they can't pay, we can seize assets, garnish wages. But Bernice. She looked me dead in the eye. You need to prepare yourself. This will destroy your relationship with your family. Are you ready for that? I thought of 6 years. 6 years of exhaustion, of penny pinching, of watching my dreams defer. Yes, I said. I'm ready. While the lawsuit crawled through the system, something unexpected happened at work. Wayne Morrison, the elderly founder of Morrison's production house where I'd worked since 18, called me into his office. I'd been his assistant editor, working on everything from commercials to small independent films, learning the business from the ground up. Bernice, sit down, he said, his kind brown eyes studying me over his desk. I hear you're going through some trouble. Word had spread fast. Sir. Family issues. Legal issues, he corrected gently. Building-wide gossip travels. But that's not why you're here. He slid a folder across his mahogany desk. I'm 78 years old. My daughter runs a practice in Seattle, my son's in finance in New York. Neither wants the business. I'm retiring and I'm selling Morrison's. My heart sank. This job was all I had left. Mr. Morrison, To you, he interrupted. If you want it. The words hung in the air like a miracle I was afraid to touch. Sir. You've been here 6 years, Bernice. You know every aspect of this operation. You're talented, hardworking, and you have vision. I've watched you turn mediocre scripts into something special. You've built relationships with every client we have." He tapped the folder. "This is an offer to buy Morrison's. Owner financing, manageable payments over 10 years. You'd own a production studio, Bernice. A real chance to build something." My hands trembled as I opened the folder. The numbers swam before my eyes. It was possible. Barely, but possible. "Why me?" "Because you love this place," Wayne said simply. "And because you deserve a win right now. So what do you say? Want to become my successor?" I thought about Mama and Beverly, about stolen dreams and broken trust. Then I thought about my dreams, the ones I'd buried under exhaustion and disappointment. "Yes," I whispered. Then louder, "Yes, Mr. Morrison. I do." The next 3 months were a hurricane of activity. I signed the papers making me the owner of what I immediately rebranded as Jenkins Productions. Wayne stayed on as a consultant, teaching me the financial and management sides I'd never seen. I worked 18-hour days, editing by morning, schmoozing clients by afternoon, studying business strategy by night in Renee's spare room. The lawsuit against Mama and Beverly proceeded slowly. Patricia kept me updated. They'd hired a cheap lawyer who kept filing for extensions. They couldn't pay, of course. Mama worked part-time at a grocery store and Beverly's acting income was non-existent. Patricia was preparing to seize their apartment and possessions. "I can't," I told her one evening, exhausted from a client meeting. "That apartment, it's all they have." "Bernice, they took everything you had," Patricia reminded me firmly. "Don't let guilt make you a doormat again." He was right. But it still felt like swallowing glass. Meanwhile, Jenkins Productions started thriving. I landed a contract with a local restaurant chain needing commercials. My first major client as owner. Then a musician wanted a music video. Then a nonprofit needed a documentary. Word spread about the young black woman running the production house with fresh ideas and fierce dedication. At a networking event, I met Arthur Wright, an investor looking to fund diverse voices in media. Over coffee at a downtown cafe, I pitched him my vision. Not just commercials, but films, series, stories that reflected people like me. "You're ambitious," he said, impressed. "How much are you looking for?" $2 million, I said, heart pounding. "To expand facilities, hire top talent, and fund 3 original projects." Arthur smiled. "Let me see your business plan." 2 weeks later, he cut me a check. Jenkins Productions was officially playing in the big leagues. 8 months after I discovered the theft, I was at a casting call for my first original short film. A story about resilience and family trauma, naturally. We'd rented space at a studio in Midtown, and I was reviewing headshots with my new casting director, Maritza, when a familiar face appeared in the waiting room. Aunt Beverly. She looked different, older, tired. The overconfident smirk she'd always worn was gone, replaced by something almost desperate. She wore a blazer that had seen better days and carried a worn portfolio. She didn't see me at first. I was behind the one-way glass of the observation room. "Oh, hell no," Maritza said, glancing at the name on the sign-in sheet. "Beverly Jenkins. Any relation?" "Hi, Aunt," I said, my voice flat. "The one who helped steal my money." Maritza's eyebrows shot up. "Girl, you want me to?" "No." I stood straighter, squaring my shoulders. "Let her audition. I want to see this." Beverly's audition was painful to watch. She wasn't terrible, but she wasn't good either. Overacting every line, missing emotional beats, desperate energy radiating off her in waves. She was auditioning for the role of the protagonist's supportive mother, which would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. When she finished, I stepped into the audition room. Her face went white. Bernice? What do you wait? You own this studio. I do, I said coolly. Jenkins Productions. It's mine. And that audition? That was for a role you'll never get. Not from me. Not from anyone who matters. Beverly's eyes filled with tears. Bernice, please. I know I messed up. We both did. But I need this. I'm broke. You're 44 years old with nothing to show for $300,000 of my money, I interrupted. That's not my problem anymore, Beverly. She left sobbing. I felt nothing. Just a cold, empty satisfaction. That night my phone rang at 2 a.m. Mama's name flashed on the screen. I'd blocked her months ago, but she must have gotten a new number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Bernice? Baby, please don't hang up. Her voice was thick with tears and exhaustion. What do you want, Mama? I need to tell you something. About why I did it. Please just listen. I sat up in bed, anger and curiosity warring in my chest. You have 5 minutes. She took a shaky breath. When your daddy left, you were only 2. You don't remember, but he cleaned out our accounts, took everything. Left me with nothing but you and a mountain of debt. I worked 3 jobs to keep us fed, to keep a roof over our heads. I was so tired, Bernice. So broken. And Beverly, she was there. She took care of you when I couldn't. She sang you to sleep, made you laugh, kept you from feeling the weight of how poor we were. So that gave you permission to steal from me? I asked coldly. No, baby, listen. Beverly saved me back then. She had dreams of acting, and I watched her sacrifice them to help raise you. She worked dead-end jobs, dated men who treated her like garbage, all while telling me, one day, sis. One day I'll make it and we'll be okay. When you started making good money, I thought, this is my chance. My chance to pay her back, to give her the opportunity she lost because of us. The explanation sat heavy in my chest. You should have asked me. Would you have said yes? Mama's voice cracked. Be honest, Bernice. Would you have willingly funded Beverly's acting career? He had me there. No. Because it was a fantasy, Mama. And you can't build a life on fantasies. I know that now, she whispered. God, I know that now. The lawsuit concluded 14 months after I'd filed it. Judge Michelle Harrison, a stern black woman in her 60s, reviewed the evidence with obvious disapproval. Mama and Beverly sat across the courtroom looking small and defeated. I refused to look at them directly. This is one of the more egregious cases of family financial abuse I've encountered, Judge Harrison said, her voice cutting through the courtroom. Ms. Jenkins, you systematically stole from your daughter under the guise of parental authority. Ms. Beverly Jenkins, you were complicit in this theft, accepting funds you knew were obtained fraudulently. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. Patricia squeezed my hand. This was it. The defendants are ordered to repay $378,000, the original theft plus interest, to Ms. Bernice Jenkins within 90 days, or face seizure of assets and potential criminal charges. Additionally, defendants shall pay plaintiff's legal fees totaling $42,000. Court is adjourned. The gavel's crack felt like thunder. I'd won. Legally, financially, morally, I'd won. So why did victory taste like ashes? Outside the courthouse, Patricia was ecstatic. Bernice, this is huge. They'll never be able to pay in 90 days. We can seize. No, I interrupted. I have another idea. What do you mean? I watched Mama and Beverly exit the building, holding each other up like shipwreck survivors. Set up a payment plan. Whatever they can afford monthly. I don't want their apartment or their possessions. I just want them to spend the rest of their lives knowing they're paying back what they stole. That's punishment enough. Patricia looked at me with new respect. You're more merciful than I'd be. I'm not being merciful, I said quietly. I'm being strategic. They need to live with what they did. Prison or homelessness would be too easy. This is justice. Jenkins Productions exploded. That short film I'd cast Beverly for won awards at 3 film festivals, catching the attention of major streaming platforms. Netflix offered me a 2-series deal. I hired a team of talented writers, directors, and producers. All people who'd been overlooked by the industry, all hungry and brilliant. By year 3, we'd produced 2 critically acclaimed series. A documentary that sparked national conversation about family dynamics in Black communities, and 5 award-winning commercials. My studio expanded into a 15,000 square foot facility in downtown Atlanta with state-of-the-art equipment and 30 full-time employees. I was profiled in Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and Black Enterprise. At 27 years old, I was running a $200 million production empire. They called me a prodigy, a visionary, a success story. What they didn't know was that every contract I signed, every project I greenlit, every hire I made, I thought of Mama and Beverly. Thought of what their theft had cost me, yes, but also what it had forged in me. Renee became my VP of development. Maritza ran casting for all our projects. Arthur Wright joined my board of directors, helping me navigate expansion into film production. I bought a house in Buckhead. 5 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view that made me cry the first time I saw it. The monthly payments from Mama and Beverly came like clockwork. $300. Every month, without fail, electronically deposited into an account I never touched. I was saving it, though I didn't know why. Maybe evidence. Maybe ammunition. Maybe deep down mercy I wasn't ready to admit to. I hadn't spoken to either of them in 3 years. Not one word. And I told myself I was fine with that. I was reviewing submissions for our biggest project yet. A feature film about a young Black woman overcoming family betrayal to build a business empire. Yes, I was being obvious about it. When Maritza walked into my office with an unusual expression. "Boss, you need to see this audition submission." She handed me a tablet. Beverly Jenkins. For the role of coffee shop employee number 3. A non-speaking background role with maybe 30 seconds of screen time. The role we'd usually cast from a pool of extras without auditions. She'd submitted a headshot that was 5 years old and a resume so sparse it was depressing. Under recent work, she'd listed community theater productions and student films. The kind of unpaid gigs desperate actors took for footage. Her cover letter was brief. "I'm willing to work hard and prove myself. I just need a chance." "She doesn't know it's your project," Maritza said softly. The submission came through our general casting portal. No indication she knows who runs Jenkins Productions. I stared at that headshot. Beverly at 39, still believing, still trying. Now she was 47, auditioning to be scenery in my story. The irony was so thick I could choke on it. "Schedule her," I said finally. "Bernice, are you sure?" "Yeah. I want to see what 6 years and $300,000 bought her. I want to see if it was worth it." 2 weeks later, Beverly walked into our studio for the audition. The moment she saw me sitting behind the casting table, she stopped dead. The color drained from her face. She looked like she might bolt. "Sit down, Beverly," I said calmly. "You came here to audition. So audition." Beverly stood frozen in the doorway for a long moment. She'd aged, gray threading through her hair, lines around her eyes that hadn't been there 3 years ago. The desperate confidence that used to radiate off her had been replaced by something that looked like quiet defeat. "Bernice, I didn't know." "Sit down." My voice had the authority of someone used to being obeyed. She sat. Maritza handed her the sides. 2 lines of dialogue about serving coffee. Beverly's hands trembled as she held the pages. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. I let the silence stretch, watching her squirm. "Whenever you're ready," I said coldly. She cleared her throat and delivered the lines. They were fine. Perfectly adequate for a background role that didn't matter. When she finished, she looked at me with something like hope, which irritated me more than anything. "That was competent," I said. "Maritza, give us the room, please." Maritza left, shooting me a concerned look. Beverly and I sat across from each other. The first time we'd been alone in 3 years. The last time had been in that apartment, her screaming that I couldn't sue family, me walking out of their lives forever. "How's Mama?" I asked, surprising myself. Beverly flinched like I'd slapped her. "She's managing. Working at Publix full-time now. Her back hurts but she won't quit. We need the money for the payments." "Good," I said flatly. "You should pay for what you took." "I know." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Bernice, I know I don't deserve to ask, but I need work. Any work. I'm not asking for favors. I'll take anything. Her voice cracked. "I just need to survive." I leaned back in my chair, studying her. "Tell me something, Beverly. Was it worth it? $300,000 of my money. Did it buy you the career you dreamed of?" Beverly's face crumpled. Tears spilled down her cheeks, and for the first time since this nightmare started, I saw genuine remorse. Not self-pity, not excuses, but real acknowledgement of what she'd done. "No," she whispered. "God, no, it wasn't worth it. I wasted your money, Bernice. I wasted your trust and your youth and your dreams. I bought headshots that went nowhere, classes that taught me nothing I couldn't learn from YouTube, auditions that led to nothing. I chased a fantasy while you built something real. And the worst part." She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "I knew deep down I was never gonna make it. But I let your mama keep believing because it was easier than admitting the truth." The admission hung in the air between us. I felt something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe the possibility of it someday. "I'm not giving you a role in my film," I said quietly. "But I am offering you a job. We need someone to manage craft services on set. It's not glamorous. You'd be ordering food, making coffee, keeping the crew fed. It pays $15 an hour. You'd be working for me, taking orders from me, watching me succeed every single day. Can you handle that?" Beverly stared at me like I'd offered her the world. "Yes. God, yes. Thank you, Bernice. I won't let you down." "You already did," I interrupted. "This isn't redemption, Beverly. This is me remembering that you used to sing me to sleep when Mama worked nights. This is me paying back that 5-year-old girl, not you. Understood?" "Understood," she whispered. I stood, signaling the meeting was over. "Start Monday. Don't be late. And Beverly, tell Mama. Tell her I'm thinking about meeting for coffee. Maybe. Someday. When I'm ready." As she left, I looked out my office window at the Atlanta skyline. My empire. Built from theft and betrayal, from pain and determination. They'd tried to steal my future, and instead, they'd given me the fuel to build something they could never imagine. I wasn't okay with what happened. Maybe I never would be. But I was successful, powerful, and finally, free. And that, I thought as Beverly disappeared into the elevator that would take her from executive floor to ground level, was the best revenge of all. My phone buzzed. Renee asking about the new Netflix deal. I smiled and got back to work. After all, empires don't build themselves.